Providence fans, welcome back to 78 Steps. I'm your host, Matt Ruffley, and we are right here at half court at the Log Cabin in Providence High School for a really special conversation. It's not just about basketball today, it's about legacy, it's about community, it's about coaching, and it's about the impact that this game can have across against multiple generations. Right, so we're joined here by four tremendous guests. I've got Frank Allocco, Art Catano, Greg Allocco, and his son Matt Allocco, who not only have huge, deep ties to Providence, but New Jersey basketball, and more specifically the XL basketball camp, which might be the longest running basketball camp in the country. So today, gentlemen, we're just going to talk about the history of XL, how it all started, the culture that you guys wanted to bring to this, and really the life lessons that your campers take out of this, right? So, Frank, Art, I'll start with you. Let's go right to the beginning. 46 years ago, how did XL Camp start?
Well, I used to go to a basketball camp when I was a kid. I went to Pocono Invitational Basketball Camp. And one afternoon we had an incredible lecturer, Stu Aberdeen. Coach Stu Aberdeen came to speak. He was an assistant coach at Tennessee. And he had this incredible message called The Winning Edge. He talked about kids are basically created equal, and there's probably 2,000 kids that he would be recruiting for Tennessee. He said, I'm only going to offer 4 kids. So how do you separate from 2,000 to 4? And he talked about, I want a kid that doesn't drink. I want a kid that has good grades. I want a kid that's respectful to his parents. He went through all these topics. He said, and every time I do that, I am separating myself from others. And that message really resonated with me. It changed my life. I really came home and said, I got to do things better, and I got to do things the right way. So the impact it had on me was incredible. And I was flying to Hawaii on a business trip, and I picked up the San Francisco Chronicle, and I read a little paragraph that Coach Stu Aberdeen had died. He was 49 years old. He was the head coach at Marshall University. I was devastated. I called my wife and I said, Coach Aberdeen died, and he got like 8 lines in the newspaper. And I said, this guy that had such a profound impact on my life, and that's all he got was 8 lines about his death. And that night I dreamt this camp right down to the logo. And I called my brother Jerry, who was a successful coach at Clark, and I told him I'm going to start a basketball camp. He said, well, you're not even coaching, And I said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to start a camp, and we're going to dedicate it to keep Coach Aberdeen's message alive. And that's what we've done over the years. We talk about him. We try to provide life lessons for kids. So I always say that the success of any venture will be determined by the spirit in which it was entered. And we entered it to change lives, and we're still doing it 46 years later. That's awesome.
Marty, what are your memories of when it first started?
Well, I remember when we first started, our original staff was Frank, myself, his brother Jerry, his brother Richard, Greg's father, Larry, and a man by the name of John Kufel, who was involved in New Providence basketball at the time. It was just us. My recollection is we had about maybe 35 kids that first year, and then get to like the second year at 85, then we get to 100, and then we start going 2 weeks, and it just grew from there. Like we're getting over 200 kids, each week for 2 weeks, and but it started way back with just us and the 35 kids.
That's awesome. So next question to Greg and Matt, right? Both of you guys you've both been campers here as kids, right? And now you're both involved as coaches. Right? So my question to you guys is what makes XL different from all the thousands of camps out there?
Yeah, I would say it's really just the commitment to establishing not just the right basketball habits and the skill sets to be successful in the game, but also the life skills, the life lessons, and the commitment to that. Really, we've been able to provide an experience for young people here across the gamut. So whether you're a pretty elite young player right now or a beginner, we provide an experience for everyone, I think, and I just think the combination of the commitment to fundamental skill development and then also reinforcing the life lessons that can make you successful well beyond the field or the courts
Absolutely.
is the way it is. So.
Matt, what's your take?
I think the life lessons have been the biggest thing, and I think it's why we see a lot of turnover every year. We see a lot of the same campers, and then also a lot of the same coaches come back because they know it had an impact on themselves as campers growing up. Now their kids are coming back coaching, and obviously, you know, I'm an Allocco, and I've been a part of that. I grew up coming to camp. I was maybe 3 years old when I started, you know, walking around camp. 6 when I started becoming a camper, and now here I am 25 years old and come back every year to coach it. So the impact that it had on myself and then obviously the community around it is incredibly special.
That's awesome. So, Frank, or and you guys touched on it a little bit already, but besides the basketball skills, right? What message do you hope that the kids leave with every Friday when camp is done?
Yeah, they can be anything they want to be, really. It's just discipline, love, and sacrifice. Every day we have a message. I mean, I'm going to give a motivational speech every day, and it's going to have a specific topic. You know, I know you always talk about eating a meal in a defensive stance. You'd be amazed how many kids I'll walk into a restaurant and I'll see a kid sitting eating a meal in a defensive stance, and that theme was you can always get better. No matter what you're doing, you know, you can get better at something. We talk on Wednesdays about the help side stance, and you know, the help side stance is about being a great teammate. And where does that start? In the home. You know, help your mother, you know, clear the table, you know, help your dad in the backyard, bring the groceries in, and every time you're doing that, you're becoming a better teammate. And in essence, that's what you want to be in your whole life. As a parent, as a leader, as a coach, as a teacher, whatever you choose to be, these are skills that you're going to need. And so we really stress that every day. That's my favorite part of the camp.
Yeah.
In fact, during COVID, when we didn't have, you know, camp was very limited, we put out videos, right? I put out videos weekly with a message, so the campers still had a message coming to them, even though we didn't have camp.
Or do you care to add?
You know, I just think, again, you're saying the same thing. That's what makes this camp so special. You know, it's not just about basketball. It's about being a great person. Coach said, a great teammate. You know, they do hear something every day. They might hear something every day just within the station from the coaches, some little lesson. And you know, Frank always gives a great talk the last day of camp when we have our awards ceremony to the campers and the parents. You know, it's very important that the parents, you know, hear the message, and I think that's what keeps them bringing their kids back, because they see it's a little more special.
I actually try to sneak in a couple times and try to listen.
Yeah, we've had some big crowds.
Big crowds. So the next question goes out to the three coaches here on the panel. Matt, we'll give you a break on this one, right? So when it comes to, you know, God-given talent over here on this side of the ledger, right? How important are things like attitude, coachability, and effort when it comes to the individual success, player, or person?
I think it's crucial, and Art and I, you know, have had a great deal of success coaching high school, and without elite talent, you know, with kids that just buy in and commit to each other and play hard. I know, you know, when my coaching career at De La Salle, you know, we were nationally ranked teams playing with Oak Hill, and with no talent compared to that. Not to disparage my players, but those kids they played hard for each other. They gave their best energy every day in practice, and were there for each other. And I think, you know, it has to be important to you, and that starts with committing to each other. I've always, the bond of team to me is very, very special. Everything is important. You give your best for your friends, and that's the message that we had. So I would prefer a kid who's going to be there every day and try to get better, as I would to an elite player that may take plays off, because winning in this game comes down to who's going to get a backside rebound and who's going to dive on a loose ball. And we used to always portray that as, what are you willing to do for your friends? You know, and so to me, it's incredibly crucial that kids develop those skills of giving their best in everything that they do.
Pretty much the same. You know, we tell our kids every day, you know, your job today is to try to become a better basketball player than when you walked out of here, a better basketball player, better person. For example, our last 2 seasons, our record hasn't been that great, but you know, we had a very difficult season this year to start off, and it was like, you know, how are we going to keep these kids together, keep them believing. And you know, they kept working hard. We finished out, you know, real strong, and you you know, I'll just give you like a good example. 2 years ago, we played Thrive Charter, this college team, in the sectional final,
Yep.
and we're losing by 31 at halftime. We come back, we get it within 12, you know, like some time available that we, you know, who knows. But you know, somebody said to me, "Well, would you say it to him at halftime?" I said, "You can give him some big rah-rah speech." I said the same thing I say to him like every single game. You know, whether we're up by 20, down by 20, the game's tied. I said to the boys, I said, this can go either 41, 51, or we're down 31. We could do better. Well, fortunately, we did better. But every possession, and we talk about that every day. Every day.
Greg, what's your take? I mean, how many years you been coaching high school?
About 30 years now.
I did not realize that. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that?
Well, again, not to spend a lot of time reiterating, 700 wins, 600 wins. I think I have one. Our head coach was sick, so I filled in and we won. But I would say that, really to boil it down into a quote, Coach Allocco has said at camp, and I've tried to really live it and model it for teams and young people that I've been around, is that getting them to think about something bigger than themselves, right? And no one walks their way alone, and all we put into the lives of others comes back into your own, right? The more you give, ultimately, the more you can gain individually and then collectively. So to me, that's what it's about.
That's well put. So, Matt, we're going to put you on the hot seat here, right? Since you are the most, by a long shot, most recent high school and college grad. And for you guys at home who don't realize this, after an outstanding high school career in the state of Ohio, Matt went on a 4-year starter at Princeton, took a 5th year at a very, very small school in South Bend, Indiana. You may have heard of it, Notre Dame University, where he absolutely crushed it, and is currently affiliated with the LA Clippers, playing in the G League. So this is a guy who knows a little something about success in the game of basketball. So there's going to be a lot of young kids out there, 10, 11, 12 years old, that may tune in to watch this. What kind of advice can you give that 10 or 11 or 12-year-old kid to be successful? High school player, college player, maybe even aspires to be a pro someday?
My biggest piece of advice would be come to Excel Camp.
There you go.
But I mean that seriously, is everything that I learned in the game, my entire basketball foundation was Excel Basketball Camp, and I think it's the habits that you build. You could be a great shooter, great passer, great dribbler, but if you are not willing to buy into the great habits, the small things that people say are small, but at this camp are not small, they're big, you know what I mean? The kids want to come to camp to play the games, but we always say the most important part of camp is the stations, where, it's you and a ball and, just those great habits, chinning a basketball, even life lessons that, we've been talking about this entire time, is just listening when a coach is talking. So I think, the biggest lesson that I learned and then try to impart on the campers is the habits that you're going to build here are ultimately going to bring you to the next level. At every level. I think, the best players in the world have mastered the smallest habits, I think.
Building blocks in the game. So back to you guys, Frank and Art. 46 years ago, when you guys started this camp, what kind of culture, or did you even think about creating a culture back then? And if you did, has it changed or evolved or gotten better over these last 45 years?
Well, I think we're always trying to get better. We're trying to model what we tell the kids, that you never. I always love this quote I used to have when I coached at Salle: "If it ain't broke, break it." So every year we're coming up with innovative things. 46 years of camp, we did the 3-on-3 competition, and now we have an incredible ball handling a session that my son runs. Actually, he's a high school coach in California. He is another one that could be here and should be here. Like they've all been part of the
He
camp
was here as a...
Yeah, same thing. 2 years old, holding onto my leg like a little koala bear, walking around with me. And now he's an incredible high school coach in California. But he runs a skill station now, twice in the morning and the afternoon, where every kid has a ball. They're doing open court dribbling on a cone. They're doing stationary dribbling. So we're always trying to push it to get better. And as Greg said, it appeals to every level. The biggest thing is when you come to camp, you're going to get a ton of repetitions. So we improve every year. We're getting better. But that message of playing, being a great teammate, giving your best energy and effort in everything you do, and Matt's the poster child. Really, when you talk about Matt's played at the highest level, and I hate to tell you this, but Matt's not the most incredibly athletic guy in the world, but you ain't going to find a better competitor than Matt. And I know when he went to Princeton, we talked, and his goal was to be the greatest teammate in the history of Princeton. And in his senior year, they did a profile on him, and that's what his teammates and his coaches said, and they did not know of his goal. And that's what was said about Matt, that you can't find a greater teammate. And that started here when he was, 4 years old or whatever he was, and then at 6 started attending the camp. He got that message every single day. So I think that culture continues, but yet we always tweak the camp to make it better every year. We come up with something new.
That's really neat. That's pretty cool hearing that, huh?
Absolutely. I love it.
That's awesome. I wasn't expecting that. That's really good stuff. Art, anything to add there? I mean,
Well, I just think, over the years, which has made us successful, like what Frank said, you adjust with the times a little bit. You have to. Things are a lot different than they were, 45 years ago.
Yeah.
And same thing with coaching. It could be just these little things, and I've known coaches in the past that have kind of gotten out of it for a little while, and maybe 8 or 9 years, 10 years, and then they come back and they have a hard time adjusting because they haven't been through that year by year thing where you make those little adjustments to be successful. Right. And I think that's one of the big reason why we've been here so long. We just continue to improve. We're not set on where we started. We keep getting better.
so that's a nice little segue into my next question, right? So I think we can all admit things have changed. The game has changed a lot since this guy was, filling up peach baskets hanging from the wall back in the early 70s, right? So rather than harp on what's changed in the game, what about some of the things that just remain constant when it comes to skills and development, prepping a kid, to play the game?
I think the fundamentals are really important. Kids have to learn how to play. And, the current climate, kids play a lot of games.
Yeah.
And they think they're
Less
playing.
instruction, more games.
I had a kid in California that I referred to that I think could have been the greatest player ever to come out of that cell. He was like 6'4" in 7th grade, heck of a player. And he went to, we had 7 weeks of camp in California, and he went to every single session. And then in 8th grade, he doesn't show up. And about the 5th week, I said to him, "Where you been?" And he said, "Oh, I'm playing basketball. I'm on this elite AAU team." And I said, "That's terrific." And I said, "So how much did you play this weekend?" He said, "Oh, I played 7 games." I said, "Well, that's great. There's 280 minutes, 6 hours. That's a lot of basketball." Let's break that down. You're on offense half the time, 140. You're on a team that has all-stars, so you're rotating at 70 minutes, plus there's 5 people on the floor. You're getting the ball probably 14 minutes. I said, wouldn't it make more sense for you to stay home and do, perfect passing and shoot for an hour and work on your skill development? And that's kind of what I think really has to be done. I mean, I have no problem with AAU basketball. Right. My son runs a great AAU program. Right. But I also think you can't get into that trap where you're just playing games. You have to work on your fundamentals and you have to work on your skills. The games are supposed to teach you how to compete. And one thing that's changed today is, I drove by the community pool last night and kids were out there playing, at 10 o'clock at night, which was pretty impressive. But when I grew up here, you played winner stays on. If you lost, you don't play for an hour or so, right? So kids learned how to compete. And in today's climate, you're playing 7 games, whether you win or lose. Right. So that's what we're missing here. So I think the fundamentals are important, and the game should be about learning how to win and learning how to compete.
We're going across the street at your house at Columbia Park, playing those games. I'm sure the guy behind the camera was there too. Yeah. That's great. So this question goes to the outsiders, or you can take this one off, right? So I know for a fact you can't go to a good slice of pizza in the state of California, or God forbid, the state of Ohio. So when the three of you guys come back to New Jersey, where do you guys go for pizza?
No question about it, Joe's. We go to Joe's in Maplewood for pizza. We love that. My grandkids come out for camp, and it's a family affair. We have everybody here in the summer. Greg's family's here, and we always go to Joe's.
I thought I had a different answer for him.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Greg? Where do you go?
Yeah, I'm Joe's.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I thought maybe you were going to
No
say
question.
DeMayo's.
No.
No.
Growing up,
Traitor.
for sure. Yeah.
How about that? How about that? And Matt, do these guys drag you along?
Joe's.
Okay.
Joe's.
Yeah.
Big plain pie, fold the slice.
All right. Fold the slice.
Thank goodness
Okay.
they taught me the right way.
Wow. Right. Artie, how about you? Where do
End
you
of
go?
July,
Around
Joe
here.
will be there if you're watching.
Yeah.
Get ready for us.
You know, my wife's a very good cook. She makes her own pizza.
She really?
So I really, if we're gonna have pizza, it's gonna be homemade pizza. And I'm also very well known. It's funny how Matt said about folding the slice. If I got hot pizza, I've been kidded about this a lot. I start off with a fork.
Actually,
And I've been criticized about
you know what?
that,
Don't
too,
work
you
for
know.
the first two pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want them dangling. I do the same thing.
I do the fork and a knife, and then,
Just for the
then
first
I'll,
couple
then I'll
cuts.
pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely. But I can get away with it. I'm Irish.
I've been teased about that a lot.
Yeah. Wow, I'm gonna get
Man, I got to tell you, the
Yeah.
best cannoli around.
Oh.
I mean, I'm from California. You cannot get a good cannoli. I have a cannoli named after me in California.
Is that right?
I do, because I'm so critical of cannolis. I do an evaluation. Natals, phenomenal.
It's down here in
cannolis.
Summit.
No, over in
the
Madison.
restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Guy,
Okay.
he has a hell of a cannoli. He really does, and Pavelli's too. It's
Okay.
wonderful cannoli too. So two great cannolis.
All right. Well, enough of pizza. Let's get back to athletes. All you guys have seen thousands of athletes over the years, right? Now, I know this is going to be tough to narrow down, but if you could narrow it down to one thing, what's the one trait that all the great ones share?
They outwork everyone. They just really work hard. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Two of my former players, Salle, are assistant coaches with the Lakers, and they said LeBron James's work ethic is unbelievable. On a game day, he gets there at 10 o'clock. He does a hot bath, a cold bath. He eats properly. He shoots. He lifts. He does everything. And they were blown away how hard he works. So I think that message, every time you talk about a great elite player, it seems that they're the hardest working guy on that team. So I think to young people out there, you know, your goal should be to be the hardest working person on your team, and then extend that to be the hardest working player in your community. Right? We always say at camp that we challenge the kids to be the greatest competitor they've ever seen. Right? You've heard that since you were a little boy. I always tell you that, you know, your goal when you play in a game should be somebody should get in their car and say, Matt is the greatest competitor I've ever seen. And that has nothing to do with points or anything else. It's just your energy and your effort. And if that becomes a consistent habit, then you become a guy like that, you know, who has done that everywhere he's ever played.
So Matt, let me ask you, you're still playing, right? So I'm assuming this is off season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how many hours are you putting in?
A lot, and it's not just, you know, having a ball in your hands all the time. You know, especially at this level, you really got to take care of your body. A big lesson I learned from my father, who I'm sure listened, you know, to Uncle Frank and his father, our family, is you got to live it, right? And so, you know, it could just be 2 hours a day with the basketball, but, you know, got to get stronger, lift weights, eat right, sleep well. So, stretch, you know, I started doing yoga a little bit, you know, trying to work on my flexibility. So, yeah, not just basketball, but I think, you know, it's got to be, you got to make the right life choices.
All right, so now we're going to go back. We're going to get a little nostalgic here. All right, I'm going to have you go last. I'm going to save some time for the rest of you. Favorite memory from your high school sports career?
You're starting with me here.
I'm starting with you.
Don't say when you beat the Providence.
Well, that was a great memory.
Right
Across
here?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, right there, and at the buzzer. And
No kidding.
GL over New Providence. Now, they didn't have instant replay back in that time. So some
What
people.
are we talking, like 85,
We're
86?
talking 83, my first year, I believe,
83?
and my first game here against GL.
Yeah.
And the guy who was reffing was
Not
known,
GL
was known as
Joe.
GL Joe.
GL
GL
Joe.
Joe. Yes. Yeah. He was officiating.
It looked good.
It's nice to see you've gotten over this though. 40 some odd years later.
From my vantage point, it looked good.
The shot went in. It was just a matter of when it went in.
Matt, how about your favorite high school memory?
Individually, I would say my best game was maybe my 5th game of my career. I was a freshman. So it was just, very reassuring that I belonged at the varsity level as a freshman, and that everything I'd learned at camp and grown up in the game is starting to pay off and prove that the habits I built there, helped me be successful at the highest level. So I would say that was my biggest
remember
memory.
that?
And I'm also, I'm going to shout out my older brother Chris, who I wasn't even a player at the time. Watching him, he was a freshman. Came in at the end of the game. Coach Allocco dialed him up here, banged a game-winning 3, and I remember I chased him all around the court.
That's awesome.
So that was a great.
I'm sure you remember both of those moments, Dad? Yeah.
Very well.
In the same gym, by the way.
That's right.
The game winner, and years later, I had my best game there. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
How about yours, Marty?
I was thinking about this. I would have to say, looking back, and it would have been a loss, was my senior year in football when we played Thanksgiving Day right out here against Summit, and both of us undefeated. Thanksgiving Day, big event back then. There was what they say like 15,000 people here, and the Willie Wilson Day game was 11 o'clock in the morning, and there were people here literally like 7 o'clock in the morning on a freezing cold day. And it took me quite a while to get over that. I'm still not over it. I still, like, every once in a while I see the film and I think, well, maybe we're going to win. Something different's going to happen. But just leading up to it, those days there were no playoffs, so you had 10 days before your next game. And this was just such a huge event. All the stuff leading up to it, and the crowd was like incredible. Just to have that experience.
That was awesome.
It was tough, but I look back and I'm glad I was able to play in a game like that.
About yours, my man.
I came home from Notre Dame to watch that game. In fact, I was on Instagram yesterday, and they had a clip of Willie Wilson, and they showed that run back that he made. But the crowd was unbelievable. I mean, when people said there were 10, 15,000 people, there really was. My greatest memory was football. We played Verona. They were number 3 in the state. They were an awesome team. I remember coming out and watching them warm up, and it seemed like they had 100 guys, and they had these Tennessee-like uniforms. They were like a feeder program to Tennessee. And the game was scoreless, and we came down to the last 8 seconds of the game, and we had this 1 minute drive. We drove down the field with a minute to go, and we ran the same play 4 times in a row, and on the last time, Alan Lesnowich, who's a local guy in town, judge here.
The judge.
The judge had run a post pattern 4 times in a row, and I told him I was going to pump fake and to run a flag pattern, and I hit him in the corner of that end zone, and it was like, I can still hear it. It was like there was this big boom went off, and the place went crazy, and we mobbed Allen, and we beat Verona. So and I've often said this, I was fortunate enough to win a national championship at Notre Dame.
Right.
But Notre Dame, that game was probably the greatest experience of my life to this day.
You realize the
Playing for
judge
Providence.
is going to be replaying this
Oh, yeah.
over and over and over
Oh,
again.
yeah.
You know that, right?
The judge had good hands, and he
Did
was
he?
very, very fast, but his legs moved in an awkward manner. But he was very fast.
All right, hey guys, we're coming near the end here, and so Matt, we'll start with you.
Sure.
You get to invite 3 dinner guests to your house. Every interview ends like this, right? They could be dead or alive, sports, politics, history, entertainment. Who are the 3 people coming to Matt Allocco's house?
First and foremost, my number 1 is Derek Jeter. My all-time favorite athlete, all-time favorite Yankee.
Yep.
Used to wear number 2 growing up, playing baseball. Still, we're diehard Yankee fans, and the only jerseys I wear are number 2.
Love it.
Second would be Michael Jordan. all-time favorite basketball player, so I had to throw him in there. And my third one is Jesus Christ.
Love it.
Tremendous leader.
Those are three great ones.
Yeah.
All right,
That would be
Matt.
a cool dinner.
Matt, by the way, I just want to preface this by saying, excuse me, Greg, I want to preface this by saying, I've probably done about 1,000 of these interviews. I'm not exaggerating. Student athletes, gentlemen like yourself. I've never been invited to one of these dinners. Not once. I'm not saying you should change your answer, but who are your 3 dinner guests, Greg?
Well, I'm going to start off with Bill Bradley, Princeton great. Dollar Bill. When you are not practicing somewhere, someone else is. And when you meet, he will win. Then I would say Bruce Springsteen, the boss. Right? Nobody better, I think. You know, Thunder Road, a real anthem, in my opinion.
Sure.
Bruce's call to greatness for people. And then Theodore Roosevelt, the man in the arena. Right?
That's great.
So
There's a new documentary on Netflix coming out on Teddy. I just saw it coming out.
interesting. That's great to know.
All right, Artie, your 3 dinner guests.
I was thinking I'm going all family. I would take my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side because I was very young when both of them passed away, so I didn't really get to know a lot about their history. Excuse me. And my grandfather on my father's side because I was also very young when he passed away. So I would have liked to talk to him a little bit more. My grandmother lived to 102, so
She didn't get cheated.
got to spend a lot of time with
That's
her.
a nice run.
But yeah, little more of the family angle.
great.
And then you, I think.
Oh, you're just saying it. For
dessert. Well,
dessert. Just dessert only.
Yeah.
Get it
Yeah,
out.
dessert-
right?
dessert.
Come on. Yeah, all right. Frank, how about you? Your 3 dinner guests.
I would say John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Ara Parsegian. Those three of my heroes to this day. I think they're 3 of the greatest men that ever lived. Kennedy had a profound, I was 10 when he was assassinated, and I still remember it every day of my life. And Martin Luther King has always been a personal hero of mine. And Parsegian, in my opinion, one of the greatest men ever to live, in terms of his perspective on coaching, but in developing men to be great people. He was certainly very special.
That's great. Hey, so listen, Matt, here's the deal. I'm putting you on the hot seat again. Because I know there's only one guy here on this panel that I can send to that foul line. I know he can make a foul shot. Every interview's got to end up with a made foul shot. So let's go, man. You and I are going to hop down here, right? By the way, you just made a bucket to tie it up.
Yep.
There's 1 second left in the game, right? 50-49. There it is. Hey, so, gentlemen, before we check out, do you want to tell the kids and the folks at home when the camp is? And I know you got a special shooting camp and a dribbling camp. So why don't you give us the dates? Sometime in July,
Yeah,
right?
day camp. First day camp is July 20th to the 24th. Second one is July 27th to the 31st. We have a great ball handling camp that Matt has been running with us, and that is the 25th and the 26th. In between the day camps, and we have a
At OLP.
At OLP, and we have a shooting camp here at New Providence on August 3rd and 4th. And we have a junior camp for kindergarten through 3rd grade, which we love doing. Talk about fundamentals. We start those kids, and really, our whole goal is to develop a love for the game, and we tell great stories and a lot of individual attention. So those are the camps for the summer. Five
And do you
different
guys have a website or Instagram page that they can
Yes.
go and sign
So,
up on?
Yeah, the website is excelbasketballcampnj.com, and our Instagram is excelbasketballcampnj.
And we're also going to be putting that information in our 7A Sports caption down below. But listen, guys, I got to tell you, when Greg told me we were going to be doing this, I felt like a little kid on Christmas morning to spend some time with you guys, and this was so much fun. I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are great, and your camp is awesome, and this is great stuff. That's been 78 Steps with these 4 guys, and we are out.